Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. I'm T and this is my YouTube channel, Crumpets Tea and Sewing. In today's video, I am going to be sharing with you a few things actually. This is a special video because I am sharing with you the fabric that was sponsored to me by Minerva. And I'm going to be sharing with you that. I'm going to be also sharing with you a collaboration that I am doing with the lovely T of Creativity by T here on YouTube as well as on Instagram. And I'm also going to be sharing with you my make for the hashtag Sew Purple to End ALZ challenge that is hosted by Michelle. She goes by The Real Michelle Sews Again here on YouTube as well as on Instagram. So with all of that said, let's go ahead and get into today's video, and I'm going to share with you the pattern that I used for all of these different collaborations and challenges that I was a part of. So first, let's start with the fabric that I used for this collaboration and also for the challenge. So as I stated in the intro of the video, the fabric was sponsored to me by Minerva. So thank you to Minerva for sponsoring me this piece. This is a Viscose challis fabric. It is titled Wildflower Fusion Viscose challis. So as you know by the name of the actual fabric, it is a viscose, like I said. So it's very drapey. It has this beautiful purple background that has all these different floral details going throughout the fabric. It also has a butterfly going throughout the fabric as well. So you can spot butterflies on the fabric here and there throughout this beautiful field of flowers. I had a lot of fabric that I was working with. I had over 3 yards of fabric, and so I knew I needed something that was going to be either a dress or some type of matching PJ set. And after I posted my plans video, my sewing plans video, many of you said, you know, this fabric would be wasted on PJs. And so I thought, okay, I'll revisit the dress idea. And I'm so glad that I did that. So that's the fabric. The fabric is very, like I said, very drapey, but it's easy to sew with. If you're not used to sewing with challis fabrics or viscose fabrics, I would not recommend this fabric, especially if you're going to be getting anything over 2 yards of fabric. It is a lot of fabric to work with, and it is very drapey, and so you have to be cautious on how you cut the fabric and also how you sew the fabric, just simply because it moves a lot. It has a lot of movement to this fabric. So I do not recommend this for beginners or advanced beginners, just simply because, like I said, it will shift as you're sewing it. So for those of you who are at that stage and you want to get this fabric, just keep that in mind. So that is basically my review of the fabric. I actually do like the fabric. I like the way that it's sewed, and I'm really grateful that Minerva sponsored me this piece. So with all of that said, let's talk about the pattern that I used for this fabric and the collaboration. So I want to go ahead and give you a little bit of a backstory on me and T and how we decided to choose this pattern. It actually isn't a real story there. This is an impromptu sewing collaboration. T was going to be in my area. We live about 2.5 hours, about a little less than 2.5 hours away from each other, and we've just been dying to see each other since I've moved here, and we haven't had the chance to do that yet. Because she's busy, I'm busy, and we're both just juggling school schedules, work schedule, you know, things like that. But she was supposed to come here this upcoming week, and her job changed the location. So we're really disappointed that she's not able to come and visit. However, we are planning to see one another before winter hits. So stay tuned. We might have another collaboration going on here. But anyway, we threw around a couple of ideas of what we wanted to make, and we thought about this McCall's M8115. I think this was our last choice. We had some other choices that we wanted to do, but I think this McCall's M8115 was right up our alley. It was both of our styles. We both really liked and connected with the pattern. And so we chose this McCall's M8115. And I will tell you, I do love the pattern. However, there are a few things that I would change going into my next make with this pattern, and then also some things that I want to make you aware of so that you know before going into making your garments as well. So this pattern comes in sizes extra small to extra large, and I chose the size medium, and I'll put the information here so you can see what that corresponds to in terms of finished bust measurements and finished waist measurements, because both are listed on the tissue paper. So for view A, you have a lower section for the garment. So you have the upper section, which is the bodice and the sleeves. So you do have grown on sleeves or dolman sleeves. You have two different lengths for your sleeves. And then you also have, like I said, that lower section for your garment. You have the lower front section and the lower back section. You'll notice that on the front of the upper section, there's an empire, a little bit of an empire waist. And so the lower section kind of curves to fit that empire waist. The back of the garment is elasticated with a 1/4 inch wide elastic, so it's really narrow, so you don't have a lot of elastic back there. And I found this pattern to be quite easy to sew. However, I had to take out a lot of ease in my sleeve area. I made my mock-up with a 100% cotton muslin, and next time I think that going into the pattern, if I'm going to use like a challis fabric or anything like that, I would actually make my mock-up with that. Most of the time when I'm making challis garments or rayon garments that have an elasticated back, I can get away with using a 100% cotton, like a more stable and structured fabric. In this case, I would not recommend it, just simply because that empire waist at the front of your garment, it's going to be more structured if you make it with a chambray or with a cotton, you know, the fabric recommendations for the pattern. And I'll put those recommendations here. So if you go by the fabric recommendations, you'll have a more structured garment. So I think it calls for chambray, charmeuse. I don't have the pattern with me, but I'll put those recommendations here. It does not call for rayon, challis, or viscose fabrics, and that was my mistake. I thought that it would be fine just simply because the dolman sleeves have like a nice drape, and then you also have different skirt variations. So talking about skirt variations, views B and C have a different lower section than view A. And so views B and C is your more flared skirt. It's very cute and very nice. I really like that variation. So for my first variation, I made view A, and that is the garment that I'm wearing right now, which is the black and white floral top that I made. So I really like this. Like I said, there is a slight issue with the front of the garment because I used a challis fabric, and so you can see a little bit of drooping in the front of the garment, and that was my fault. So in the next version, I will make sure that I make accommodations for that. I didn't, however, make the accommodations for the second version that I made, but if I were to make a third version, I definitely would make the modifications to the pattern for that. Now with this black and white version, like I said, I chose view A, but I had to grade out at the hips because I found that it was a little bit too snug around my hips. So I chose, like I said, a size medium for everything except for the lower skirt of this. For view A, I chose a size large. So I started with the size medium at the waist and I graded out to the size large so I could have more room in my hips. I also forgot to do a forward shoulder adjustment to account for the slope of my shoulder. And so in the next garment, I would do that as well, because for this garment as well as my second garment, you can see a little bit of the seam line going backward instead of going, you know, resting on my shoulders. And so I definitely need to make that change. But other than that, it's a really nice pattern. I really enjoyed sewing with the pattern. And I think I would also raise the, lower the waistline a bit as well. This pattern does not come with lengthen and shorten lines. And so you have to keep that in mind. You will have to create those lengthen and shorten lines and be very mindful where to place those on your, especially on your front pattern. Now for my second version, I decided that I wanted to make a dress because, like I said, I was working with 3 yards of Minerva fabric. So I decided that I wanted to use this purple fabric for the hashtag Sew Purple to NALZ challenge hosted by Michelle. And I absolutely love the fact that she does this every year. If you are not aware, Michelle, she is here on YouTube and she goes by The Real Michelle Sews Again. And her father passed away a couple years ago from Alzheimer's, and she wanted to make a challenge and kind of like memorializing that, and also to bring awareness of Alzheimer's and the struggles that people face and their families face when going through that. So check out Michelle's challenge and also her channel. I'll put that information in the description box below. As of the date of this video, you will probably be too late to sew anything. I think you would have like 1, maybe 2 more days to sew something. So if you're a fast sewer, you could probably get it in. The challenge ends September 30th. So just keep that in mind. So anyway, for this second version, I created, I kept all the changes that I did to the bodice, which wasn't really anything. I thought that I would actually have to add a 1/2 inch or so to the neckline of the pattern, because that's usually what I have to do with wrap patterns, but I didn't have to do that. It's fairly modest, and so you don't have to worry about that. And I decided I wanted to, like I said, make a skirt, and so I lengthened the skirt of view C by 9 inches. I think I added a little bit too much. I think in the future, I would probably take off about 3, maybe 4 inches. I was going more for a knee length skirt. And I think I got more of a midi length dress. I just basically added that length to the bottom of the skirt of view C, because the pattern, it instructs you, like if you want to add length to the pattern, you could just add it right at the bottom of view C. You don't need a short and lengthen line or anything like that. And so it makes it very easy to do that. So that's what I did to create the dress. Like I said, I had to take out quite a bit in the underarm area. So I did have to make those changes to the pattern. And I think I took out about 2 inches or something like that. It was quite a bit, 2.5 inches. And I also shortened the sleeve of the pattern because I didn't like the way that the long sleeve looked. It just was too, I don't know, it was too droopy, and especially because it had so much fabric underneath the underarm that I had to take out. I just really didn't like it so much, and so I had to make those adjustments as well. So overall, I really love this pattern. However, I would definitely make it again with a cotton fabric or a more stable fabric. I feel like making it with a fabric like a rayon or challis or viscose is a little bit too drapey. You do need some kind of a structure to it, unless you are wanting to go into the project and making those adjustments to the front so that it doesn't droop. I would say you would probably have to take out some fabric along the line of the, like right underneath the bodice there, so that it doesn't droop so much. And I'll show you what it looks like when I'm wearing it, so that way you can get an idea of what I'm talking about in terms of the fabric drooping in the front there. So yeah, I enjoyed this pattern. I do recommend it. It is a pattern that I think beginners and advanced beginners can sew. However, I would definitely make sure you pay particular attention to all the things that I mentioned in this video, so that way you can go into the project and have a garment that resembles or that is close to what you're envisioning. So yeah, that is the McCall's M8115, and I want to thank everyone who collaborated with me on this, and I want to thank Minerva for sponsoring the fabric to make my dress. I really do love it. Thank you so much, T, for collaborating with me. I know this was an impromptu project, but it was very fun, and I thank you so much for doing that with me. And then to the lovely Michelle of Michelle Sews Again, thank you so much for being a host of this beautiful challenge. I really enjoyed making this dress, and I enjoy the fact that you put so much effort and so much time into these challenges every year. So thank you so much. All right, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you all had fun. If you did, please make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. Again, if this is your first time visiting the channel, thank you so much for tuning in. And if you enjoyed yourself and you enjoy the content of my channel, please consider subscribing. I hope you all have a happy and blessed sewing week. Bye.